Our story begins with a kid growing up in the 2000s who had just received a brand new Nintendo DS for Christmas. His mom takes him to his local GameStop to buy his first game, and of course, him being the biggest Batman stan on planet Earth, he picks Lego Batman, a game which he has dreamed of playing ever since he saw that commercial on TV. Spoiler alert, this kid was me, and if you grew up in the 2000s, then you already know I read the back of that game cover about 25 times on the ride home. This was my first introduction to the world that LEGO games could create. Ever since then, I've played my fair share of LEGO games, ranging from LEGO Marvel Superheroes to LEGO Lord of the Rings. For proof on my knowledge of this topic, I would just like to show everybody my world record on LEGO Batman 2 100% co-op. Although don't try to find video proof, as that was on my old channel, which unfortunately doesn't exist anymore. I've been playing LEGO games for many years, and while I've had fun playing them all, I can completely understand people's criticisms with the LEGO game formula becoming dry. Every game makes improvements and introduces new mechanics, but those changes just aren't enough when the core fundamentals are still there, lurking in the shadows. At the end of the day, running around as Darth Vader and smashing boxes for studs isn't as exciting as it used to be. Maybe this is just 22-year-old me talking and my boomer cells are activating, but I don't think I'm the only one who thinks this. At this point in its life cycle, LEGO games are carried off their IP alone, and even that isn't attracting the children like it did in the 2010s. Something's missing from these games, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know what it is. For all of you dying to know what core quality every LEGO game lacks, I'll go ahead and spill the beans for you. In order to explain this properly, I need to build a hierarchy. On the bottom of the pyramid, we have the what's a LEGO people, but for the purpose of this video, we'll just leave them out of it. In the middle of the pyramid, there are the people who only build LEGO sets and then set them on their shelf, never to be seen again. In order to make things easier, we'll call these people shelfers. On the top of the pyramid, we have the Bucketeers. Now the Bucketeers are the elite LEGO users. These people had buckets of LEGOs as children that they acquired through various methods like disassembling sets and scouring garage sales for any unfortunate soul willing to part ways with their bucket for a few Washingtons. Now with a full bucket at their disposal, they would assemble the coolest creations you could think of, all using their mind. There we have it, folks. That is the word of the day: creativity. What the Bucketeers have mastered is the art of creativity. This is the core fundamental quality that every LEGO game never really got quite right. From the beginning, LEGOs have been used to build the coolest things known to man, and all it took was somebody with a brain cell and a bucket. LEGO's entire appeal has been to build whatever your mind desires, and they clearly understand this with projects like LEGO Ideas gaining so much traction in recent years. This simple idea is what LEGO is built on, and it's what lets kids and adults alike continue to enjoy LEGO even to this very day. So hypothetically, if this quality were to be removed, then it would cause chaos and destruction, right? Yes. It's this core quality that LEGO games just haven't done correctly, which has contributed to its declining sales. So in theory, just adding this quality should fix everything and restore LEGO games to their former glory, right? Well, in a way, yes, but first, I have a confession to make. Remember when I said that no LEGO game has ever had creativity? Yeah, I lied about that. There are some LEGO games that attempt to do this, and while these attempts are by no means fleshed out, I still want to mention them as I believe in giving credit where credit is due. It's important to know that these ideas could very easily be expanded upon and fleshed out into their own respective games. The first example of this idea is in LEGO Indiana Jones 2 with the Build Your Own Adventure feature. To give everyone a brief rundown if you've never done this, the Build Your Own Adventure feature within LEGO Indiana Jones 2 allows players to have a level editor of sorts in which to design their own adventures. Each adventure has multiple levels that can either be created by the player or chosen, with every story level in the game being a preset level a player can choose from. The level editor is where things really start getting juicy. Players can choose from any assets already used in-game to create whatever level they may desire, from enemies to vehicles to traps, and even allowing players to terraform the ground. The Build Your Own Adventure feature really allows for players to flex their creativity neurons and see what kind of dangerous shit they can put Indy through for their amusement. This idea could easily be expanded upon into its own game, as there is endless potential here. Making a LEGO game maker of sorts is where this concept could see maximum success. Imagine playing LEGO levels that were made by other creators from around the world and sharing your reactions and comments with them. Making a community around the creativity of a game like this would surely create enough of an environment to bring like-minded individuals together, the same way a game like Super Mario Maker did. Also, on a side note, the popular MMO game LEGO Universe has something similar to this concept. In LEGO Universe, there are regions where once you defeat the boss, it unlocks that zone as a free building area. Any bricks or models that you collected along your journey are free to use for whatever you're trying to build. Or you can be a shelfer and just use any of the pre-made models at your disposal. Overall, it's pretty similar to the Build Your Own Adventure tool, just not as fleshed out, and it's still worth mentioning at the very least. The next way LEGO used this concept was in a little game called LEGO Worlds. For me, this game had big expectations to fill. LEGO Worlds initially looked like a game made to capitalize on the success of Minecraft, for better or worse, but I hoped it would find a way to differentiate itself. Upon release, LEGO Worlds was pretty bare bones, very visibly inspired by Minecraft. While the game was very raw, it was released in early access, so many, myself included, figured the game was far from finished. However, the big money for LEGO Worlds wasn't in the updates coming soon. It was in a way, but we'll get to that part later. It was in the potential to mod. Mods for a game like Minecraft have done wondrous things for the health of the game, so only naturally, I was hoping mods would find their way to LEGO Worlds. Numerous things like LEGO Batman, Star Wars, and even ideas like Pokemon servers could easily be modded in, and would have done wonders for the longevity of LEGO Worlds. As I'm sure you've noticed, I'm referring to this as would've and should've because unfortunately, mods never made it. Shortly after the game's release, the devs gave this statement regarding mods.
Right now, we are not supporting mods, and we want to ensure that we get the base game working correctly for everyone first. We will explore supporting mods at a later date once we are satisfied, and you are satisfied, that the game is stable enough to consider opening up these avenues.
In all fairness, the devs were completely right to make this decision. Putting mods into a game that's not yet fully stable doesn't really sound like the best idea. This makes things even more unfortunate as LEGO Worlds had their plug pulled pretty early on, which has led to it becoming the dust bunny that it is today. Although, I can't help but think of the sheer amount of greatness people could create for this game if modding support was added, and the community just went ham. The last example I have is by far the best one. While I don't think it has as much potential as, say, LEGO Worlds with mods, in terms of quality, this was done very well. Big props to TT Games as there was much good work done here. Of course, I'm talking about the character customizer in LEGO DC Supervillains. Seriously, I can't say enough good things about this. If you're familiar with LEGO's character customizer, then imagine that, but 10 times better. In this game, TT used an interesting concept by making the player create their own character to use throughout the story. TT Games really went all out on the character creator, which in turn transferred over to the customizer. There were so many different combinations of characters you could make with tons of different powers to choose from. Every character in the game had their assets available in the customizer, along with assets just for the customizer. When I first discovered this, it led me down a huge rabbit hole, which eventually led me to a video made by a popular YouTuber known as Blitzwinger. He had made Deku, a character from My Hero Academia, in the game using the customizer. Upon seeing Blitzwinger make the character look stunningly like Deku from the anime, and then even making his energy green, it inspired me. Upon entering the game, I immediately entered the customizer to recreate my favorite character from MHA, Tomura Shigaraki. But upon realizing that I had nothing unlocked and I had to 100% the game to acquire all the assets I needed, I closed the game, never to open it again. However, myself aside, this feature was huge for many people and it kept life in LEGO DC Supervillains despite the main game being over. Minifigures are a huge part of LEGO, and custom minifigures are already a huge industry among custom creators, so having a deep minifigure customizer in a LEGO game makes minifigure customs seem much more accessible and easy for someone like me. LEGO and TT Games definitely should get a W for this, and I can't wait to see what's next in store using the character customizer.
No! 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 No!
With the announcement that LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga won't have a character customizer, this definitely does put a damper on the game's release. While I don't think this ruins the game completely, I think this shows that TT is going in a different direction when it comes to their new games. However, TT should be taking steps forward rather than backward. With the Skywalker Saga being the second to last LEGO game from TT, this could really be the end of an era in terms of LEGO games. With 2K Sports acquiring the license on February 22nd, and LEGO looking to work with other studios, it's hard to say whether the future is bright or grim for TT and their LEGO games. However, I will say that if any of these ideas were expanded into their own respective titles, then LEGO would start developing a community similar to the popular toy line they already sell. And maybe someday I can finally have my perfect sandbox LEGO game in which I can build whatever my tiny brain could possibly think of.